Okay, so these are your three averages, the mode, the median and the mean, and you need to be able to work out these averages for data that's given to you in a single list of numbers. So work out the mean, median, mode for a list of numbers like this. If data is given to you in a frequency table like this, where you have single individual data values, so you need to be able to work out your mean, median, mode for frequency table, and where you have grouped data, so a grouped frequency table like this. So again, you need to be able to work out the mean for this data, the median, and the modal class. Not the mode, but the modal class. In this video, the focus will be on working out the mean. If you have a list of numbers, then the sample mean, which is represented by this, it's just a letter there, like X for instance, with a horizontal bar over it. It represents the mean of the data values that represent X, the mean of X. And this sigma here, the Greek letter sigma, that's uppercase sigma, is telling you to work out the sum of all the X values, so add up all of your data values and then divide by the number of values you have, so divide by n. So this is what you would do when you have a list of numbers and you're trying to work out their mean. Add them up and then divide. If your data is in a frequency table, then you have to use this formula, so work out all of the X times F values first. And all that is saying is in your frequency table, you've got X here and you've got frequency here. So you need to multiply these two together to get X times F. So for instance, if that was 2 and that was 5, 2 times 5 is 10. If that was 3 and that was 6, 3 times 6, 18. So you do this first. You make up that column in your table. And the sigma there is saying work out the sum of all of these values. So if you work out the total of this column, the sum of all of these values, like this, and then divide by the number of data values. Okay, n, the number of data values that you have in a frequency table, is the sum of the frequencies. So you may see this formula written like this, over n. Yeah, it's exactly the same formula. Yeah, the sigma f is the number of data values n. So from this column here, if I work out the sum of the frequencies, we get 11. And then using the formula, it's telling you to take 28 here and divide it by 11. So 28 divided by 11 will give you the mean of this frequency table. In this example, we have a list of numbers and we're trying to work out the mean temperature. So we have to add up the data first. So add up all of the t values here first, and then divide by n, the number of data values. Okay, so adding up the data values gives you 15. So that's the sum of all of these t values, divided by n, the number of data values. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data values, like this. Okay, so the mean is 15 divided by 7, 2.14 to 3 significant figures. using 3 significant figures is fairly standard throughout S1, unless you're given a different level of accuracy to give your final answer to. So for instance here, if the question said work out the mean correct to 1 decimal place, for instance, then you would just write 2.1. In this example we have a frequency table with individual values of x. So for example, in this row here, I know that the data value 3 occurred twice in our data. And if you were to write out this frequency table in full, so if you made a list of numbers that come from this table, 0 would be there 6 times, so you would do this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 would be in there 10 times, etc. But this is an inefficient way of representing a large amount of data. If you have a large amount of data, like we do here, then a frequency table is always used. So, to work out the mean, write down the formula, and that formula is telling you to work out the sum of all of the x times f values. So we need to multiply x with f, and then work out the sum of all of these values here. And then we're going to divide by the number of data values n, or sigma f. And that will come from adding up all of these frequencies here, like so. Okay, so multiplying these, 0 times 6, 1 times 10, 2 times 4, and then you add up all of these values. You add up the frequencies, and then looking at the formula, we're going to divide, so that's 28 divided by 23, 28 divided by 23. If you have one of those calculators that puts that recurring point on top of these digits here, just press the SD key until you get rid of the recurring decimal. To 3 significant figures, then 1.22. In this example we have grouped data. In this grouped frequency table, the data column here represents age. So for instance, this class interval here, 30 to 40, represents everybody who's reached their 30th birthday, and all the way up to, but not including, their 40th birthday. Okay, so that's that class interval there. Now it's a frequency table, so we're still going to use the formula sigma xf divided by sigma f. Now we've got values of frequencies here. What we don't have are values for x, our data. Let's just call this x. So we're going to do x times f in this column, but what we need are single values from all of these. So we're going to use the class midpoints. So 20 to 30 has a midpoint of 25, 30 to 40, 35, 40 to 50, 45, 55, and we're stuck for the last one because it says 60 plus. Now 60 plus means 60 and over. So looking at the previous class intervals, each one represents 10 years. So to use double that would be reasonable for the last one. So we could have 60 to 80. And the midpoint there would be 70. There. So now we have our frequencies, we have our midpoints, and we can do, x times f. We're just going to multiply these in pairs as before, and then we're going to work out the sum of the frequencies from this column here to work out the total number of data values, and we're going to work out the sum of all of the xf values from here. Okay, so if you work out all of the x times f values and add them together, you get 1955. The sum of the frequencies is 54, so there are 54 data values in this table, and dividing those two gives you a mean age of 36.2 years. In this example, we have 10 litres of petrol, which cost an average of this price per litre, 20 litres of petrol, which cost an average of this price per litre, the same thing with 7 litres, and what we're trying to do is work out the average cost of a litre of petrol when you put all of this together. So the formula, the mean is equal to sigma x divided by n. So the first one, 10 times 1.182. That's the cost of those 10 litres. Yeah, that's the average price per litre. So if you times that with 10, that will give you the cost of those 10 litres. And if I do the same with the second one, that's 20 litres times this, and then 7 times this. And add those together, and then divide by the total amount of petrol, the total number of litres, which was 10 plus 20 plus 7. And that gives 1.201. If we look at the price per litre here, if we use the same level of accuracy, so there's 4 significant figures there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.201